Today on the show, Joey from TerezOwens.com with the very latest on the Dez Bryant tape.
And we have Mike and Indy stopping by from the Jim Rome Show to talk smack off, Colts football, and yes, it's finally here, the fight of the century, Mayweather-Pacquiao.
Keith Olbermann gets himself suspended from ESPN, plus the debate about court storming in college basketball rages on. It's all coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hello, welcome back. It's episode 43 of the Sean and Bo Show. I'm Sean O'Donnell, joined as always by my co-host Bo Greer, who is currently strapped to his chair because I couldn't get him to stop pacing around the studio because of this breaking Dez Bryant news.
Earth-shattering.
Yeah, this is going to be big, Bo. I had heard some rumors about it from the last week. It's being described as a Ray Rice-esque domestic dispute or violence caught on tape.
As far as I'm concerned, it's probably the biggest thing that happened in Texas since '63.
So there were some rumors swirling around about this today, and at the center of the story was a friend of the show, TerezOwens.com, who had an update on this story. Basically, the news is that this sucker is going to be released later tonight or tomorrow. So I figured who better to talk to on the update of the story than Joey from Terez Owens. He joined us a little bit earlier, and here is the interview now. Joining us now from TerezOwens.com, the world's most popular sports gossip blog, it's Joey from Terez Owens. Joey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Now, this has been a big day for Terez Owens. Congratulations on all the press. You've certainly been all over this Dez Bryant story, although you guys weren't the first to report it. I know like Mike Florio and Dan Patrick briefly mentioned it over the last week. Y'all had a big update this afternoon. It read, "We're being told the Cowboys have warned Dez the tape is going to be released, and from someone who has seen it, that it's 5 times worse than the Ray Rice video. His football career is in jeopardy, according to our source. Also, a Dez insider tells us he's being brainwashed by Jay-Z and Rock Nation Sports." So obviously this is damning, and to clarify, you haven't seen the video yourself, correct?
No, I have not seen the video, and personally, I don't know if the video exists. It's just we are a sports gossip and rumor site. I'm just kind of trusting my source, who's, hasn't led me down the wrong way yet, and I don't think he would have passed this along if it wasn't true.
So you're saying that your source is very credible, and you believe what he's telling you?
Yes.
Now, in terms of, I just heard your interview a little while this afternoon on 105.3 The Fan. They were trying to besmirch TerezOwens.com credibility, but your site has broken some big time news in the past, like the infamous Jerry Jones bathroom pictures. I think if my memory's serving me correct, like a Michael Phelps DUI story. So certainly getting news like this isn't out of the ordinary, so to say, for TerezOwens.com. You have broken big stories in the past, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you throw enough stuff against the wall, something's got to stick, right? No, just joking. But yeah, we've been doing this for 7 years. And to be honest, we're kind of the first ones. I mean, Deadspin in a way, but we're kind of the first ones that kind of went the Us Weekly route with sports. So it's not new to us. We've been, sued by LeBron James over something that we were actually right about. We've broken, a ton of big stories. And this one, I guess, is bigger than I thought it was going to be. But it's definitely making some people mad over there in Dallas.
5 times worse than the Ray Rice video. I mean, what does that mean? He had 5 women in an elevator and was just decking them with both hands? I mean, that's hard to believe. 5 times worse than probably the worst video for NFL publicity that's ever surfaced. So we're dealing with something quite large, especially when there's a contract situation looming for Dez Bryant. It's a big deal. So
yes, agreed.
Has your source intimated whether or not this is an old video? That's something that's been around in NFL circles and just hasn't surfaced? Have you got any information on that?
I've asked him everything, and he's given me everything that I've pretty much passed along. I even thought, hey, maybe what if it's from the incident with his mom, or you know what I mean, resurfacing or something like that. I don't know. I'm like, once again, I'm just passing it along what I have heard.
He's Joey from TerezOwens.com joining us to talk a little Dez Bryant mysterious video. Now, in terms of how this is going to be made available to the media and to the public, you were saying that quite possibly it's going to be through an ESPN outlet?
From what I heard, someone was going to announce it. I don't know where the video was actually going to come out. I don't know who is going to be buying the video or if the video exists. You know what I mean? I'm just, like I said, going back to trusting the person that gave me the story. And obviously, there has been some rumblings out there besides me. Like I said, we didn't break the story. We just advanced the story.
Right.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, you know? So I heard this from a friend today who I trust, and we put it out. And from what I know, it was to be announced by today or end of day tomorrow that they were going to, I don't know whether they were going to release this tape, but there was a big announcement coming from somebody at ESPN.
And of course, it's no big surprise that the Cowboys have denied any knowledge of this video. We would expect that. They're not going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, we saw it a couple of months ago and it's bad."
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the Roger Goodell situation over there.
Okay, well, TerezOwens.com is the site. They're always breaking big news like this. Joey, thank you so much for giving us a few minutes of your time.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Uh-oh, Bo. Now, as a Cowboys fan, initial thoughts.
A lot of thoughts are running through my brain. Illuminati, the conspiracy to keep us out of the Super Bowl so Dez doesn't embarrass him by saying I'm going to Disneyland after he goes for 4 touchdowns in the Super Bowl over New England. You know, you want to sit here and you want to speculate and you want to discredit whoever has the tape and Dez Owens and whoever is putting it out there. But I know this, like my man said, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm from a small town in Indiana. I've heard tons of stories about people in the community, pillars, if you want to put it like that. In a small town, it's not that hard to be in charge of something and people respect you and you get away with a little bit. But when you'd hear these stories, you'd always say, nah, that's not true, whatever. I don't believe that, man. A year later, 2 years later, 5 years later sometimes, it would always come out in the wash. And you'd be devastated, but you'd always get over it real quick. You know why, Sean? It's because somebody told you 2 years ago, I heard so-and-so was doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those deals where I'm like, I know Dez is a loose cannon. I know he was raised in an environment that is closer to a prison yard than it is a home. I'm writing down here on a piece of paper when I'm listening to this interview, and I have circled next to each other with, a slash going in between it, contracts and hood rats. Because the first thing that comes to my mind is people make moves in their life to help themselves, to better themselves. Aaron Hernandez got rid of a gun because he didn't want to go to jail. Dez Bryant went with Rock Nation and Jay-Z because if there's anybody that knows how to get $100 million to a guy with a rap sheet and it looks like a thug, it's a rap mogul.
That's true.
And I'm really going to say this. I don't even care if I don't even have to see the tape, Sean. I believe it's out there because I know Jay-Z and brothers like this, they do have the power to get to whoever this person is. I'm pretty sure they know where they live. They probably already threatened them, and that'll come out in the wash.
Well, if only they would have made more of those no more commercials. Maybe this whole thing never would have happened.
That's all it takes. God. More no more commercials.
Well, Dez Bryant, for his part, is already reacting to this news. It kind of sounds like he knows what's coming. He took to social media where he said, "Just quit with the BS. It's clear as day what's going on. I might need to do an exclusive interview about my life these past 5 years since the world is destined to know. I used to let people take advantage of my life. Now that I'm no longer allowing that to happen, it seems to be a problem. I'm not ashamed of none of my past incidents because that's what made me who I am today."
Yeah, and that's what I would expect an individual.
Is he trying to get in front of this?
Yeah, he's getting in front of it. He's doing all the right things, but if this video has already been rated by the rating system that makes it 5 times worse, you can get on Reddit, Google, whatever, type it in, Dez Bryant tape. You're going to get a ratings that tell you, oh, this makes the Ray Rice tape look like, just fill in the blank, people. I A part of me wants to believe that that's already, the case. I just hope this doesn't involve his mother. That would just be the worst.
Well, yeah, and that is the speculation, because there was that report like a couple of years ago that Dez Bryant had like choked her or something like that. So it could be a video of that happening. I mean, it could be that old for all we know.
Who have never been in the man, like, I can't talk a lot because of the position I'm in, but man, I work with kids who come from neighborhoods like Dez Bryant. You know what it's like to see kids get dropped off at school at 11 o'clock and picked up at 4 every day because their mom's got other things going on in the community that she's not up to anything good, but she's still your mother. And you have to teach that kid to respect them. And it hurts me because I'm like, if it's his mom again, golly, that's where a Michael Irving, a Jerry Jones, a Tony Dungy has to go sit down with a 20-year-old man and explain to him how he has to cut his mother off. It's a sad conversation. Few people have to go there. I've seen it personally. It is not a beautiful thing. I just hope it doesn't involve his mother. It's just, this is a weird subject for me.
Either way, I mean, if it doesn't involve his mother, if it involves a girlfriend, I think probably on the same level of bad for Dez Bryant and for the Cowboys organization. But before we get off this topic, I had mentioned when we were talking to Joey from Therese Owens that I had heard his interview from earlier today on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. That's the Cowboys flagship. And he couldn't say this, but I can. Those guys were straight up jackasses to our man. They were trying to bring his credibility down. One of the hosts said something about how he sounds like somebody that won a contest on DraftKings. They're just going after the dude's character. It's don't shoot the messenger, people. And who are these people? They're radio hacks.
Yeah,
they don't even break news.
They don't.
So that pissed me off. Therese Owens, they've always been cool with us. They've always been good enough to appear on the Sean and Bo show. So that ruffled my feathers a little bit. Cowboys broadcasters, stay in your damn lane.
What do you think it all goes back to? I mean, we've seen it on movies. It's portrayed in art where you have major media outlets owned by oil companies, whoever, you name it. And that's what we know in our society. We're not stupid. And when I see this played out where tomorrow, if the tape isn't out there, everybody who's willing to talk about it, whether it's Lebitard, Dan Patrick, they're going to have to dance around those corporate affiliates.
And let me just say this: even if the tape doesn't come out tomorrow, in my mind, that doesn't mean the tape doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. If the tape never sees the light of day, that might be because money got to the right hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope the tape does come out. I hope everybody has to give our buddy Joey from ThereseOwens.com a big fat apology. But this whole thing, it kind of stinks of maybe a situation where Dez Bryant, and I'm just totally guessing here, but it kind of seems like maybe those blackmail payments stopped being made or something like this. Because based on the statement I read from Dez, he kind of seems to know it's coming. It just seems awfully fishy.
Well, and we know this, man. We live here. You're from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Heck, they're about to make another $1 billion off a movie that highlights the crime and corruption of the Southwest with Saul, after Breaking Bad. I grew up in between Chicago, East St. Louis, Memphis. I seen a lot of that trafficking and going on. Family members would get caught up in it. Remember over the summer when we talked about when we didn't have anything to ever talk about, we had to go into speculation on Jay-Z's video with the sister-in-law in the elevator.
That's right.
Nothing ever came of that, right?
Solange?
Yeah, Solange.
Yeah, whatever it was.
That didn't blow up. There was no interview with Barbara Walters. There was no, you know why? Because these guys got reach.
Yep.
And just like you said, they've either been paid off or the 9mm has been put in their lips. And, they had to bite their teeth down on that cold still, and they let them know.
That's a great point. Let's see. Do we think Jay-Z has the power and money to make something like this disappear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
If anybody does, it's probably Jay-Z.
And he's clean about it. You notice Suge Knight made as much money as him. He wasn't chilling with presidents and politicians. Jay-Z did it. He's chilling with the brothers who really know how to make people disappear. They use drones.
Well, D'Angelo Williams was cut by the Panthers earlier today, Bo, and a lot of people are real upset about the circumstances surrounding this roster move, and apparently the lack of support this young man received from the Carolina organization, Bo.
Yeah, Carolina Panthers, as you know, they really surprised us all, making a late run, getting past Arizona and their struggling problems. And just recently, they let all-time leading rusher D'Angelo Williams know that when they can't announce March 10th, I believe is the date, he will be let go. They've chose to go with Stewart as their running back, and they justified not throwing the ball or not running the ball and throwing it more as a reason they're not going to keep two high-paid backs. But the thing that shocked me is D'Angelo Williams, his whole entire career has been there with the Carolina Panthers. He's not sad to go, Sean. And he says it's all related to how they handled the death of his mother.
Yeah, this is kind of sick.
It really is. His mom passed away, a lot of you may remember, during the offseason last year. And it wasn't one of those deals where it was front stream, you know. He wasn't parading his mom's death out there. But just 8 months before that, during the regular season, Susan G. Komen and the Panthers used his mother at a halftime ceremony to announce that they give money to breast cancer, which we all know. They wear pink. They'll paint a boat pink. They even paint missiles pink from something I seen, just to let people know that we give money to breast cancer. It's all a joke. It's another subject. But D'Angelo Williams was only accompanied, in that funeral, the only person who went was Hardy. If you remember Hardy, he was also involved in the offseason domestic violence. His charges were later dropped.
Yeah.
He was the only one who attended the funeral. Not a GM, not a lineman.
So the organization was all about supporting the cause of women's cancer when the cameras were on.
Oh, yeah.
But when it came to actually dealing with the tragedy, the young man who lost his mother, they were nowhere to be seen.
Yep, nowhere to be seen. As you would expect from organizations that feel fighting breast cancer. Have you ever looked up those charts, how much money they actually give?
I know that their executives make a whole hell of a lot of money.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Some of these organizations, I've seen this one on a oil drilling company. They paint their drill bits pink. They were giving less than $20,000 to the Susan G. Komen Fund.
It's one of those things, you see a lot of it these days, whether it's on social media or with big time corporations. It's token actions.
Yep.
It's look, I support the cause. I did this stupid little thing that makes actually no difference to the fight against cancer, but I'm doing my part.
But, you know, it's interesting. I think like-minded individuals, people who feel that they have to get out there and do it, find each other. And when I first met you, I had no idea you gave time going out and fishing with veterans, disabled veterans, combat veterans. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's awesome. I didn't have to ask you that, but I could kind of guess through talking with you. And it's one of those things I go back to when we're looking for volunteers at the public schools, they're nowhere to be found. You know that these token actions are really what our society is starting to be built on. And these organizations like the Carolina Panthers or the shield that is the NFL can operate and make $4 billion off a TV deal, parade around women with breast cancer in pink jerseys on national TV. But when it comes down to nuts and bolts, being there for an individual who just suffered a loss due to that horrific disease, it takes so many. They can't even go to the funeral, and we know they own private jets. That's no problem. They could get to wherever the funeral is. They just didn't show up. Because people, when we're sitting here bashing them, how they handle these domestic violence cases, and they're putting up no more videos trying to make us believe that they give a damn, just stop drinking the Kool-Aid. These guys don't care about any of us. They are about making that dollar like they were when the league was barely making $50,000 a year to now it's making billions of dollars a year.
I think it actually was a Jay-Z line. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Yeah,
That's pretty much how the NFL treats these things. Well, another big-time black eye for the NFL, of course, has been this whole Aaron Hernandez murder trial, and we now have an update on that from ESPN.com. They say that they now have video of Aaron Hernandez's then-girlfriend coming out of his house with a trash bag. No, not throwing it in the trash can, but throwing it into the back seat of her sister's car. Apparently, it looked like the bag contained what appeared to be a large box. She puts down the bag, rearranges what appears to be clothing on top, and then walks through the backyard and is shown putting the box in the trunk of her sister's car. What could be in the box? Well, you know that Hernandez's .45 caliber Glock was never found. Wonder where the clothes he was wearing made it to. What could have been in that bag?
The white suit, Ray Lewis, maybe threw it in there. Hey, Aaron, I heard you're going to get rid of something.
Yeah, while you're at the dumpster down by the mall, do you mind throwing this in there too?
I've been trying to get rid of this for some time. No, oh gosh, it's like we should hold a course at the local community college, and it's going to teach these guys who are into these activities at night, you know, that you don't put cameras facing in on yourself. I still can't get over that. To this day, I'll never get over the fact that Aaron Hernandez was in the NFL. He was doing crimes that we really don't know what he's doing. If they're selling drugs, whatever. But in an effort to protect his house and his child and all his possessions, whatever else he had in the basement, he thought it'd be a good idea to put cameras in on himself. I wonder if there's like tapes out there that they haven't watched yet or they're trying to get their hands on where the camera just shows Aaron like breaking up a brick of cocaine, you know, because the guy doesn't seem that bright.
Well, at least he was smart enough to take a bat to the security system
yeah.
right after this alleged murder took place.
Well, you know, this is what's going on next. That's enough for conspiracy. I mean, right there, that video is enough for them to get some sort of conspiratorial charges against him.
It's still circumstantial evidence, though, unless they compel testimony from his girlfriend. It could still be tough, but it's definitely looking worse and worse for Mr. Hernandez.
You know, it could turn into one of the, what was it, OJ wins, you know, gets off of his murder trial, but he loses in civil court.
Yeah.
Odin Lloyd's mom might be just going after a payday if they can't prove that that gun was in there.
It was the biggest story during the NFL Super Bowl Media Day. Bo, do you remember this?
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please. I'm here so I won't get fined. 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 I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Well, Mr. Marshawn Lynch has parlayed his famous line during Media Day into a potential copyright. Now, Marshawn Lynch already has Beast Mode copyrighted, but now he intends to trademark "I'm just here so I won't get fined." What a savvy move that is financially.
He had to do it.
Quote, "We heard from our fans, and so many of them were saying that they wanted that phrase on the clothing. This is just listening to the marketplace," says Chris Bevins, who runs the Lynch Beast Mode clothing line. So, I mean, honestly, I don't fault the guy for this.
No, I had said it the first time I heard it. I was like, it would be the ultimate Saturday work shirt. Like, you know, if you have a salary job and they make you come in on Saturday to do an inventory, you know you're not getting paid for that.
Yeah.
I'm just here so I won't get fined or fired, you know. And Saturday Night Live, there were people around the world just, this was being said in other languages. I'm just here so I won't get fined. The man needs to calm it down or they need to pay him.
Well, I've been working on this for a couple of weeks, Bo. Coming up on the program, we have the one and only Mike and Indy of Jim Rome radio show fame. He was the co-champion of the Smack Off last year. We're going to be talking about that, plus Chael Sonnen, NFL football, Notre Dame, even Pacquiao, Mayweather. You don't want to miss that. It's coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hey, it's Sean from the Sean and Bo Show reminding you, follow us on Twitter at Sean and Bo Show. Bo, I was so damn happy last night. I got my favorite female sports reporter, Britt McHenry, to notice me on Twitter. It was glorious. Lots of funny interactions there. We also comment on shows like Better Call Saul or whatever we're watching on TV, interact with a bunch of sports reporters, celebrities, all that kind of stuff. So please follow us on Twitter at Sean and Bo Show.
Welcome back to the Sean and Bo Show. Sean and Bo Show Nation. As you know, I've mentioned many times, I grew up in the great state of Indiana. I am a Hoosier. And our next guest coming on the show is the Dawn of the Midwest Mafia.
Not only the Dawn of the Midwest Mafia, Bo, but also the current champion of the Smack Off on the very popular Jim Rome radio show. We are now joined by the one and only Mike in Indy. Mike, how's it going, man? Thank you very much for joining us.
Going well, fellas. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Now, we just mentioned the Smack Off. You're the champ. For those non-clones out there that don't listen to the Jim Rome show, what exactly is the Smack Off?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool, unique event. It kind of mixes sports junk talking and also personal shots at other people involved in the show, and also a lot of pop culture stuff. So it's a good mix of all kinds of sports content, but mostly it's just something funny, talking junk and making fun of people.
Yeah, it's hilarious. You can check out Mike's previous Smack Off calls. I want to say you've been on the Smack Off like 5, 6 times. Anyway, go on YouTube, just search Mike and Indy Smack Off, and you can hear those calls. Mike, the big Smack Off call that won you the title last year was with UFC superstar Chael Sonnen. How exactly did that come to fruition? How did you get to talking to Chael?
Well, Chael had participated in the Smack Off a couple years before, and then we kind of had a one-on-one battle where I called him out, and he responded. The showman he is, saw the opportunity to put on a show for some people and have a good battle, and so we went head to head, and I think we kind of gained a mutual respect at that point. And yeah, before this last Smack Off, we got in touch with each other, and he was down to do something together, and we didn't know what we would do, but had a pretty good feeling that putting two of the best minds in the jungle together would be a winning recipe. So we went for it, and everything turned out as well as we thought it would.
Your idea or his idea?
It was his idea.
No kidding.
And I was definitely down. I thought it was be a really cool experience. So yeah, but he got in touch with me first.
Chael Sonnen's a really interesting guy. Bo and I are big UFC and boxing fans, so we've always kind of followed the showmanship that is Chael Sonnen, how he just bashes the hell out of all of his upcoming opponents and does a terrific job at it. So it seemed like a perfect fit that he was part of the Smack Off for a couple years running now. Have you ever actually hung out with Chael Sonnen, or you just know him through the jungle?
No, just through the jungle at this point. I'd imagine our paths will cross sometime soon, but yeah, just over the phone and through the jungle and stuff at this point.
Has he ever talked to you about his infamous DB Cooper story? Do you know anything about this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so he appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast a couple years ago, and he claims that it was an open secret in his family that they all grew up with like a neighbor, a family friend who was DB Cooper in hiding. Just another facet to the insane mind of Chael Sonnen. I don't know half the time if he's telling the truth or not, but he's always entertaining.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, when you have enough legitimate, real crazy stories, it's a lot easier to slide a couple fake ones by somebody. But I wouldn't be shocked. He's a pretty straight shooter, but he's also an entertainer at heart too. So yeah, I don't know. That's interesting though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you are the Don of the Midwest Mafia. Bo here is a Hoosier. He was very excited that we were having you on the show today, and he's got a question for you as well.
How's it going, Mike? Bo here.
Doing good, Bo. Thanks.
Let me know if there's anybody you need me to take care of. I would love to
Bo's
audition for a spot in the Midwest
Bo's
Mafia.
A former Division I offensive lineman, Mike. So if you need some muscle, some foot soldiers in the Midwest Mafia, Bo is your man.
For sure, you're hired, man. You're definitely in. We're always recruiting, and I think you'd fit in well with our style. It's that Midwest work ethic, loyalty, passion for what we're doing.
I agree. I definitely agree with that, Mike, and I am honored to be welcomed into the family. But I do have something I have to ask you. You guys that participate in the Smack Off, I'm a big hip hop fan. I love rap music. It almost reminds me of how rap used to be when we all fell in love with it back in the day. Somebody would say something, somebody would fire back at them. Nowadays, hip hop doesn't have the same feel. It feels like it's more corporate fights. It's not on the street. What I'm getting at, you won the Smack Off. You are the king. Did you get to go make it rain somewhere in California? Get your picture up on the wall, hang out with some strippers? Let me know, man.
Man, I'm always making it rain. That's a weekly tradition on my end. Yeah, there's been some perks that have come with being the king, but yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities to hip hop and rap battles, and we're definitely bringing the realness in this competition. In fact, you probably say that things get a little more real in our smack off than it does in hip hop these days, because there's
Thank
a lot of
you.
weak sauce out there.
There's a lot of weak sauce, and I got turned onto this from my man Sean, and I can't turn it off. I love listening to those smack off calls.
No, it's good stuff. There's some real talented dudes involved with that, and Jim and his crew are all really talented guys, really funny. So even the regular show on a daily basis is really strong, but the Smack Off is definitely a marquee event.
It's the Sean and Bo Show. We're joined by the Mike in Indy. Follow him on Twitter at the Mike in Indy. Now, you're obviously an Indy guy, so I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up some Colts football. Now, they got some holes. Namely the running game. But I was curious, if you were GM of the Colts, what exactly would you do, besides maybe running around with a bunch of pain pills and bundles of cash? What exactly would you do in the offseason and in the draft to bring the Colts organization back to where they need to be?
Yeah, Irsay knows how to have a good time, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah. First thing I'd do, I'd probably get on the horn with either the Raiders organization or the Cleveland organization, and just have them make me an offer. I mean, those organizations are always due to make a mistake somewhere. I kind of am a little ticked off that Cleveland got the best of us in that Trent Richardson situation. So they're due to make a big mistake. If we can get some kind of trade with them, I feel like we'll probably come out on the better end of that. So I'd give those two teams a call. But we've got holes everywhere, that need to be addressed. So hopefully we can plug some guys in, find some guys that can contribute right away, because Luck's obviously ready to roll and we've got some good pieces. But yeah, I mean, this year I don't think too many people expected us to go too far. And so, the draft and maybe a couple free agents will go a long way for sure.
Yeah, I like that, Mike. What if Jerry Jones called you, since you are the GM of the Colts, and he's not wanting to go party like he normally does, and he says, hey, you can take DeMarco Murray off my hands for a few draft picks. You entertaining something like that?
Boy, that'd be a nice fit if we could get that kind of balance, and Jerry doesn't seem to be too interested in keeping them. So if we could figure it out cap-wise, I mean, I would probably be more likely to try to beef up our O-line.
Yeah.
It's tough because you got 5 positions there, but I know you're an O-line guy. But I think that's where the Colts traditionally have been a little bit weak, even with all those great Peyton Manning teams,
But they still rushed for 1,000 all those years. People forget about that. When Peyton Manning was quarterback, they'd get to 1,000 yards. And, a lot of people are all over DeMarco Murray, but we got to remember DeMarco Murray's been in Dallas for 3 years. They just went and got some old linemen like Zach Martin, and now he's the rushing champion. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, Zach Martin, he'd have been a nice piece for the Colts. I would have liked to have got him. I knew he was going to tear it up, and I'm glad to see him doing well for the Cowboys. I mean, he showed what a good O-line can do for a team. With Dallas, having a lot of 500 seasons and stuff like that, beef up that O-line,
The biggest problem in America since the 80s, in the 1980s, I think there was like 5 300-pounders in the NFL. And now we all eat so much that everybody's 300 pounds in America. So now the league, it used to be, you remember these days, there was all your NFL busts were offensive tackles and linebackers, because they were giving those guys big money because they knew if you could block, you could run the ball. And we got away from that, and we're all trying to get the same quarterback. That's not going to work. Go get some 300-pounders and win football games.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's all kind of cyclical. The running game used to be a bread and butter, and now people are trying to move more to the passing game. I feel like teams like the Cowboys, are going to show that, once the defenses adjust to the passing attack, start lining up the big uglies and just tearing it up the middle, and so I think we might see a shift back. I hope we do.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Well, hey, me too, Mike, because as I'm starting to find out, Dez Bryant, Josh Gordon, we can't trust these guys who catch passes.
A lot of divas out there at the wide receiver position, no doubt.
Now, Mike, you brought up Peyton Manning, and it looks at this juncture like he's coming back. As a longtime Colts fan and certainly somebody that's paid attention to Manning's career, how do you think this next year is going to go for him? Do you think he should have hung him up after last season?
No, I mean, I'd like to see him win another one for his legacy, and I think he can still play at that level. I mean, this last year he's throwing up huge, insane numbers, and they've got good pieces around him right now. And if they can run the ball well, I think their O-line suffered some tough setbacks that is going to make it tough on the running game, and that puts a little more pressure on Peyton. If they can be healthy and if he can stay healthy, I think he showed that he can still play at the highest level. Just have to get a little lucky with health concerns, and he's a competitor. I think he wants to come back, and a lot of people thought that he couldn't come back from the neck injury, and then here he is setting records. So I think he's still got it. His game's a big mental game, and getting people in the right positions and making good decisions. So I think if they can stay healthy, I definitely think he can make another run.
Well, at least he's not totally banged up in the head like Wes Welker is, who is coming back next season. So, yeah, Peyton Manning, if he gets injured again, maybe he won't be able to play in like those pickup games that Brett Favre takes place in Wrangler commercials, but at least he'll be able to talk to his grandkids. So I feel good either way.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, you're also a big-time Notre Dame fan. I am also, and that's another factor that ingratiated yourself to the Sean and Bo show. Quarterback-wise for Notre Dame, it's a big question mark right now. You had Everett Golson get caught cheating. He missed a season. He came back. Didn't quite look as good as he did his freshman year. And now we have Malik Zaire kind of nipping at his coattails. We don't know who's going to be the starter next year. How do you see that shaking out?
Yeah, it's a tough position to be in, and hopefully we don't see any transfers. That's always the tough thing about the quarterback position in college football.
Yeah, because they were saying that Everett Golson was inquiring with LSU about a potential transfer there.
Yeah, and it's a tough situation to be in where you've only got 1 year left, and maybe you want to stick it through, but you're putting your financial future and your possible NFL career on the line if you stick around and you don't win the job. So hopefully he sticks it out, and I think he can win the job. I think it was more an issue of confidence for him last year with the turnovers and maybe trying to do a little too much. And we had some good running games, but not as many as I'd have liked. And so I think there was a little more pressure on him to make plays. And, compared to his freshman year where he was more of a game manager, make some throws, he was more in a leadership and we're counting on you position. And, I think early in the year, through the first 6 games or so, he was one of the leading Heisman candidates. So I think he can still be that guy. But he's got to get his act together and definitely got to protect the football.
I agree a lot with what you said, and something that I agree with a lot of these NFL coaches are starting to say. They're putting up numbers and they're saying, hey, how many of these guys who spend time with these famed quarterback coaches have won a Super Bowl? And I think it's 0. Not one of them. They've all been drafted high, highly touted, and paid a lot of money, but none of them have won playoff games. And Everett Golson, we know he was suspended. He spent that whole year away with the quarterback's coach working in Chicago, wherever he was. I want to know your opinion, Mike. You think that he got too caught up in trying to please pro scouts? Because the Everett Golson I watched the freshman year, if they needed a first down, he was running, sliding, doing whatever he needed to do, diving to get it. Now he's standing tall in the pocket and he's making bad decisions.
Yeah, well, I definitely think as you get closer to graduating, you want to show the pro scouts what they want to see. And so, yeah, and I think Brian Kelly might have also wanted him to stay in the pocket a bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if that was part of it, standing back there trying to make good reads. But yeah, you start thinking about that next level, and sometimes, that can change your play enough to where it's not really conducive to a team winning effort.
Well, if you go back, remember Russell Wilson's dilemma. He had a new coach at NC State that wanted to run a more West Coast formation, and he went and found the read option that he could do at Wisconsin, and it worked out.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy. They're both similar type players. Russell Wilson and Everett, about the same height. There's a lot of people that doubt them, but yeah, I mean, and you don't want to be labeled a running quarterback. And Everett, I would like to have seen him run a bit more at times, but again, that's not really an NFL style. So you get banged up pretty quick that way. So
with his body type, yeah.
No, absolutely. Are you as ticked as I am as Notre Dame fan that when we get Harbaugh at Michigan, that coincides with Notre Dame and Michigan not playing each other in the foreseeable future? Like, that's just a raw deal for a big-time Notre Dame fan. I was looking forward to seeing that rivalry. I looked at the schedule and I was reminded that, oh yeah, that deal's up. We're not playing them anymore.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a pretty dangerous team. So not that I'm scared of them by any stretch, but that's one more tough team that would have been on the schedule. It was good to get that last win on them, blowing them out. I think 38-0 or something like that. But I think Harbaugh is going to be a force to be reckoned with for sure. I think he's a good ball coach.
He's Mike and Indy of Jim Rome Show fame, I guess you could say, and he's joining us here on the Sean and Bo Show. We finally got the announcement of the fight that we've all been looking forward to, Mike, Pacquiao v. Mayweather. I don't know exactly what to make of this. I mean, I would have obviously, like most boxing fans, would have been much more excited about this fight, 7-8 years ago. Be that as it may, we're finally getting the fight that we wanted to see. And I think the current odds are like Mayweather's favored by 2.5 to 1, something like that. Do you think Pacquiao has a shot, or are these guys too far along in their career that this fight doesn't have the luster it would have a few years ago?
Yeah, I think Floyd definitely should be the big favorite here. I think Manny's shown quite a few weaknesses. I think that the way Floyd boxes, if Manny comes out just trying to hammer him, which he might have to do, Floyd, I think Floyd will pick him apart. It's just going to be a tough fight for Manny either way. I wish we could have seen them both in their prime. I think Floyd has preserved himself a bit better, stayed in better shape. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's going to be watching it for sure. It's going to be a big event. But I'm just kind of hoping that they can make it last 4 or 5 rounds, and Floyd doesn't knock him out quick. Not that Floyd's always going for the knockout like that, but I'm just hoping it's competitive and not completely one-sided.
I'm hoping that Pacquiao's camp is training to fight a dirtier fight. I would like to see him lean on him, headbutt, do some old school crap. I mean,
sure.
Give us something to watch.
I agree 100%, definitely.
Well, he's been training for that scrappy style of combat by playing basketball.
Oh.
A little something about that, Mike?
I mean, I saw the video earlier of he had a real sweet jumper, 2 hands behind his head, launch it forward, bricks everywhere. It was pretty humorous.
Yeah, I think he owns, it's either a team or the entire Philippine Basketball Association over there. Somebody recently got in trouble. An ex-NBA player was actually kicked out of the Philippine Basketball Association for this hot take, Mike. Professional boxer, yeah, okay. Professional basketball player, no. It's a joke. And that got the dude kicked out of the entire league there in the Philippines. You don't badmouth Manny Pacquiao if you're in the Philippines. That's the lesson to be learned.
Yeah, he should have known better. I mean, that's his country, and I mean, it's kind of an awkward situation. I'm sure there's a lot of people around him and with other things he's been involved with, where they're just gassing his head up, telling him he's good at this, he's awesome at this, and he needs to stop listening to those yes men because he's out there making a fool of himself. I'm sure there's some money involved, and if he's getting paid, it's kind of hard to hate on that. But, it's just an awkward situation. You got this national treasure out there. I mean, is anyone really going to foul that guy? I mean, if you foul him and he gets injured, you're probably going to jail, at best. It's just a weird situation to be in. If he even just sprains an ankle, if anyone's even near him, they're probably going to jail, even if they didn't touch him. I mean, you know, you just kind of let that guy do his thing and, you know, hope that somehow you don't get, you know, kicked out of the country like old boy did. So,
No, that's funny. And you know the thing about Pacquiao is it's not just yes man. Like you said, he's a national treasure. Like I think Adam Carolla had something bad to say about Manny Pacquiao, and they actually issued a fatwa against Adam Carolla that Manny Pacquiao actually had to say, "No, he's cool, guys. Don't kill him."
Yeah.
that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing.
I mean, who else would allow that man to sing? We've all heard him sing.
I missed that when he was trying to hawk his love song compilation for Father's Day as a Father's Day gift.
God.
Somebody told him
Yeah.
that was a good idea.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. Talking about touching on me, this and that. Happy Father's Day. I mean, what the hell? That's crazy.
One thing I'm not looking forward to about this upcoming fight is the price that it's going to cost us to see it. Mike, I don't know if you saw this. To buy the pay-per-view, $90. For a fight we've
Yeah.
been waiting this long for. They're trying to scrape every last dollar they can. If you want to go see the fight in person, they say that there's only going to be like 1,000 tickets made available to the public, the cheapest of which, up in the nosebleeds, is going to cost $1,000. And if you want to sit ringside, like maybe your boy Chael, you have to have a $250,000 credit line with MGM.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And the sad thing is, you know, we used to have this type of fight all the time, you know, every couple years at least, you know, have some big blockbuster heavyweight fight. And it just isn't like that anymore. So I'm not surprised they're trying to get it while they can.
Well, I saw this story from Star Magazine, a pillar of journalism. After his career, apparently Tom Brady has decided that he wants to get into acting. Now, you think he might have already gotten started on this career path?
Yeah, the way he's looking for calls on the field nonstop, he's always acting like he got hit late or whatever the hell. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of embarrassing that he tried to go into acting. I mean, if it's kind of organic and people are looking for him, but I think he's trying to make it happen more than anyone else is, and other people are just like, well, you know, yeah, I'll hitch my wagon to you if you want to come act. I mean, that'll sell a certain amount of tickets no matter what he's doing if Tommy Brady's involved. But I can't imagine he'll actually be a legitimate decent actor.
No,
I'm waiting for him to come out with that he's starting his own rap label, you know. That'd be the next thing. That's the game plan. Is, you know, all the athletes that want to cross over into some other different industry that really have no business doing so. Tommy Brady's just going to be the next one in a long line of idiots.
Speaking of rap, I'm sorry, I'm so ADHD, I'm off task. I'm thinking for $90 a pay-per-view bout to watch Mayweather and Pacquiao fight 3 years before they're going to be heading to the retirement home. All I'm going to get to see is Lil Wayne bring him out. Like literally, it should go like this. It should be Keith Richards. They should resurrect all the dead Beatles, put them out there, and they should sing some songs, like some straight up Abbey Road. And then maybe Lil Wayne comes out. Because for $90, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, that's not even, I don't even know if I'll have a party. I'll just steal that. I'm going to steal that off the internet.
Don't tell that to people, Bub.
I'm going to let everybody know.
Yeah, no, you should at least get a free T-shirt out of that. That's a pretty big price on that one.
That's a good idea right there, a T-shirt. I purchased the Mayweather Pacquiao shirt. Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, now before we let you go, Mike, and I realize there's you got to be somewhat secretive about this, but for this year's Smack Off, have you started to at least like formulate thoughts about what you're going to do? Because I mean, that call with Chael, I mean, I think Jim Rome called it like one of the greatest moments in jungle history. Like, how do you top that? Have you already started to plan at all?
Haven't gotten real too heavy into it yet, but yeah, I mean, it always kind of seems that the ideas just kind of come to me when I'm not really thinking about them, and you know, I imagine something will strike me at some point, and I'll roll with it. Maybe develop a couple different ideas and see which one starts to get some traction. But you know, I usually don't get too heavy into any of that stuff until a few weeks going into it,
Understandable, sure.
and then there's a lot of people, talking about it, and it's on my mind. It's much more on my radar. So I don't start too far out in advance. And a lot of this stuff, we're kind of looking for something relevant and topical in sports, closer to that time. So there's really not much a point in starting anything too early. But yeah, looking for some ideas and framework, and usually they just kind of come to me and I roll with them, and then we make magic happen.
Well, not to blow sunshine up your ass, Mike, but my favorite calls of yours on Rome's show always involve you pissing Rome off and getting run. So if I could ask a favor, maybe you get it out of the way well before the smack off event. Piss him off more. We love an indignant Rome. It's pure entertainment.
He's so good playing that role, and I think sometimes he actually is really ticked off. But yeah, those are some of the best calls, and there's an art form to it, even getting run like that, making sure that, you get just that one great line in there, and you sneak it in before they're able to drop the hammer. Getting run itself isn't hard, but getting run with style, that's the key.
Yes, completely agree. Well, he's Mike in Indy. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be listening to The Jungle. Hopefully we hear some calls before the smack off, but we're certainly going to be listening to that as well. So, Mike, thank you so much for joining us here on the Sean and Bo Show, and come back anytime, man.
Awesome. Thanks. I appreciate it, guys. I'll do that.
All right.
Right on, Mike. Well, coming up on the show, we're going to be talking about court storming. It's a big-time controversy in college basketball, and seemingly it's getting worse. Plus, Keith Olbermann suspended once again, and Ronda Rousey talks about revealing photo shoots. It's all coming up on the Sean and Bo Show.
This is Bo from the Sean and Bo Show. Just reminding all you loyal listeners out there, make sure you get out there and subscribe to the show on iTunes. Check us out, review the show, and leave some comments. How am I ever going to know what you guys want to talk about or what kind of sausage you like to eat if you don't leave one comment for us? Again, check us out on iTunes, Sean and Bo Show.
Welcome back to the Sean and Bo Show. We just had Mike in Indy on. He killed it. I knew he would. Very funny guy.
Yeah, he crushed that. I can't wait to get him on again.
And be sure to follow him. It's at the Mike in Indy. Well, we have a big UFC event coming up this weekend, UFC 184, and the headliner of that card, Ronda Rousey, had some stuff to say during media day for UFC 184, namely about her recent, very scantily clad and Sean approved spread in the SI swimsuit edition. She said, quote, "Well, no one saw my vagina." There's the one big difference. The agreement that me and my mom came up with was whatever you're not willing to show in public, you won't show in a magazine. So if I'm going to get tan on the beach with my top off face down, how is that different than anything I've shot so far? If they can't see your cash and prizes, then I'm fine with it. If I'm going to do that on a Saturday, then what's wrong with me doing that in a magazine?
Yeah.
And Bo, I know you're 100% behind Ronda Rousey there.
Yeah, she can do whatever she wants. It's nice to see women that are in sports able to cross that line, because we know that was definitely not the case. Even guys that were athletes, we would, work out with girls. You're in the athletic trainer's office together. You have to go to all the same meetings for your scholarship, but you never really dated a lot of these girls. And to see that, she is going to be the one that 10 years from now, more than the, was it Mia Hamm that took off her shirt when they won the World Cup back in the 90s or whatever? She will be the one that bridges that gap of sex and what is female athletic.
No, she is a bona fide sex symbol.
Yeah.
And not only that, but it's like she is the Michael Jordan of her sport.
And she has hips. Like, she's not like, what did somebody tell me? I seen this. A plus size model for women is like a size 10. That's crazy. That's like my thigh. It's not real. I live in this country.
Well,
no woman should be that size. I like them a little bit bigger than that.
They don't eat as many sausages as you do.
No, they don't. And they shouldn't, according to the National Heart Association. But talking about Rousey, I like to look at someone like that because she has some shape, and that's welcome in my book.
And I don't think we're ever going to see any steroid allegations with Ronda Rousey either. I think she's like so much so far and away above the competition in women's MMA right now that I don't really think she needs any PEDs.
No. And I would hope that a lot of these ladies plan on having children after they're done, maybe, and steroids would be a big no-no if that was the case.
That's true. Well, this made national headlines following Kansas State beating Kansas. The students stormed the court. And, Bo, let me tell you something. If there's one thing more played out than storming the court, it's complaining about people storming the court. And Kansas coach Bill Self did just that. He said, it's a ball game. It's not about chicken winging somebody when the game's over. Hopefully they can get that corrected. It's fine if you want to celebrate when you beat us. That's your business. That's fine. But at least it shouldn't put anybody at risk from a safety standpoint.
Okay, so as far as that dude that you see on Red Vine and YouTube that comes out of the stand and he bumps into the star player from Kansas.
Red Vine? That's licorice.
I said Red Vine.
I mentioned sausage one time. Bo's mind immediately starts thinking about candy.
Man, I'm hungry or something. I said Red Vine.
The thing the kids are on these days, the Red Vine.
I said Red Vine. Just stop. All right, either way. If somebody bumps into me like that, everybody that goes to K-State that's in the student section is going to feel me. You would not bump into me like that, and I'm just going to peacefully. I guess that is the difference between basketball and football players. We've seen what happens when you taunt LeGarrette Blount. He's going to piece you up. It's just not going to happen on the football field.
Well, that's exactly Coach Self's concern. He went on to say, you're asking for big problems because somebody's going to hit a player and the player is going to retaliate and you're going to have lawsuits and cases, and it's just not right.
Yep. And I agree because all this does is highlight everything that's wrong with some people. I'm not saying everybody's passionate about sports. Fan is short for fanatic. We all know that. But those are the guys that are sitting in that crowd that they yell a little bit too much and they grab their hat and bend it up and make rally caps way too soon in the game. You're just like, calm down, buddy. Let's all enjoy this. Our kids are here. My wife says, relax. Well, when this happens, this guy jumps out of the stands and goes and checks one of the opposing players as if it's a hockey match.
Police are looking for him.
Yeah, they posted him. They're going to find him. He's not going to skate around Manhattan, Kansas for long without people pointing at him. But what I'm getting at, just think of the fallout. It would turn racial. It'd turn into underprivileged kids versus privileged kids. It'd just be a mess when really, if we were at the park and everybody's the same color and somebody just beat me and a dude who wasn't even playing the game ran on the court and checked me, everybody would expect me to knock him out.
Yeah.
So why would we blow this up into something that it isn't? Agree with Bill Self. I agree with the universities. We need to take measures to keep these kids off the court because at the end of the day, I haven't said that in a while. At the end of the day, everybody's there to supposedly get a better education.
Well, I don't have a problem with storming the court when, the Cinderella team knocks off the one seed in March Madness. Like there's times where it's sort of, if not expected, definitely understandable.
Oh, yeah.
But even following this story dropping last night, Maryland took out Wisconsin tonight. What did they do? They stormed the court again in the midst of this conversation. So, I mean, we can talk logic all you want, but there's only so much a logical argument is going to matter to a buzzed college student.
Well, and it's not even that. You have to remember, Sean, we've been out of college for so long. And if you go to a college, if anybody has had to do that in their older years, it's not like colleges were for a good 110 years. Now, everything operates off the internet, as you would know. And for, what you've created is this system where the kids who really excel at the college are these children. And they're this look at me society. Look at me. I got a Facebook page. Look at me. What have you done? I'll follow you when you try to do something. They're not doing anything. So what I suspect, if we had a day and we were paid and we didn't have to go to work, if we got on all the Maryland kids' accounts, Facebook accounts, if we could find them, guarantee there's like 30,000 pictures, selfies of people jumping in that crowd during that court storming, like, where were you when Maryland beat Wisconsin? I was on the court, man. Like those guys. And there's just a lot of them. YouTube creates it. Unfortunately, Twitter, Facebook, it all creates these types of people. And we don't understand it because I'm like, man, I'm old. My knees hurt. Usually by the end of this game, I'm 4 or 5 beers in. Shouldn't have went back and got another thing of nachos and that chili dog. I'm not jumping anywhere. I'm just hoping I can make it to my car before indigestion sets in. So we're out of that mindset. But to this generation, they think court storming is like this national pastime that everybody has to endure. Like we all have to do it, regardless of the game. I don't know if you can say that.
Well, Bo, just remember, it's not about chicken winging somebody when the game's over. It's about eating chicken wings when the game is over.
Yes.
That'll keep everybody safe and probably die of heart disease at a young age. Well, Keith Olbermann has gotten himself into trouble. Once again, it's one of these instances where somebody famous decides it's a good idea to take on all comers on Twitter.
It's a fight you'll never win. And I just wonder if the evolution of social media will be PR departments that are given money by ESPN, the NFL, whatever, to just come in and you take the Twitter test. You have to sit there and watch your phone with your hands handcuffed behind your back. And everybody in the room just gets to talk about you on Twitter, talking about your mom, your kids' teeth and how they should be going to get braces.
Somebody would try to gnaw their own arm off to get at their phone. You would absolutely crush some people out there.
Oh, no, it's like people are going to have to go to Zen Masters in the future to find out how to not retaliate on Twitter if you have money. Because what happened to Keith Olbermann, it could have happened to me, I'll be honest. I'm still of the school of thought that what Penn State did, what Joe Paterno, Jerry Sandusky did, if they were a lesser institution, because let me take you guys back, and I could pull names if you want, but I'm not going to get into that because it brings up bad feelings for people who know about this stuff. If there's ever been a boys' home, a juvenile correctional facility, a church, maybe a summer camp, that you've read about in your local news that was doing what Jerry Sandusky was doing to little boys, did they get to operate the next year?
No, they're shut down now.
Shut down. They don't exist. And usually they try to build a Walmart over that parking lot so in 50 years nobody remembers about anything about that place and what went on there. Instead, with Penn State and their student body, at which Keith Olbermann was lashing out at after they had finished raising money for pediatric cancer, which is a great thing. I'm not going to doubt that. This is the same student body that was protesting for Joe Pa's wins to be restored, which I agree when people say, what did those kids have to do with his wins? Man, the people who were on Penn State and played in the Rose Bowls and the national championships, do you think the NCAA is driving through nice neighborhoods with a megaphone saying, hello, hello, anyone who was on the 1970 to 1993 Penn State Nittany Lions teams, please put all of your memorabilia in a box and leave it on your front step. That's not what's going on.
Right.
Like, people are so worried about, we got to protect these student athletes. No, let's protect the little kids that Joe Pa and Jerry Sandusky were trying to, brush under the rug and pretend nothing happened. I agree with Olbermann.
So what was the gist of what he said on Twitter?
This is what I'm going to get at. So basically, he just went in and called the Penn State student body pitiful. He just called them pitiful. It's cool that they can dance for 3 straight days and raise money for pediatric cancer, but I, like many people, I just have a hard time forgetting things. And if you listen to this show, you know I do. I'll still hash up Ray Rice. If Dez Bryant it comes out to be true by the morning, I'm not going to forget about that for 5 years. Every time I talk about Cowboys and wide receivers, I'm going to be reminded of Dez Bryant. It's not that easy, and it shouldn't be this easy for Penn State. But now we're just, a few years in the future, and it's okay for them to raise money for little boys. Get out of here, people. It's almost as if Penn State's waving a flag saying, come one, come all people who want to harm children. We'll cover it up, and we'll move on in the future, because you can't tell me that there isn't one more hanging around there. You can't tell me there isn't one other Jerry Sandusky around Penn State, because I haven't trusted them since the first story broke and Joe Pa could have done something about it, and it went all the way up to the highest levels of the Pennsylvania state government. I'm a loss for words.
So
now.
Keith Olbermann got suspended from his ESPN show.
Yeah.
Even though he apologized, which is something you don't normally see.
He apologized, and I just think it's messed up because what he said was they're pitiful, and he was relating it to what we all know he's relating it to.
He's also kind of besmirching the education that you get at Penn State. He's making fun of people's grammar and stuff like that.
I know he went a little far, and people can eat me up over that, but I will sit here and say it's guys like Keith Olbermann who are in positions of power I actually respect. Because it'd be real nice for him to just get in his, I bet he's got an SL 500 and that thing stays on 71 degrees. You know, he probably doesn't even have to hit the push button start because his little coffee boy goes and does that for him at ESPN. This man is so above things like this, but he said, you know what? I'm not going to sit up here in my ivory tower and forget about real stuff. If you don't know, I work around children, people. And I told you when this all came out and we talk about these stories, you're trained to protect kids from people like this because we know in positions where there are children, these types of individuals are going to descend on it. And I'm just sorry. Penn State can move forward in 2-3 years, and they probably have kids walking around there with leukemia, and we have no idea if another Jerry Sandusky's lurking on the campus because they couldn't do a good enough job the first time around. I'll never get over it. Never.
Well, the Cleveland Browns made some huge headlines today, Bo. Big time change for that organization. No, they haven't cut Johnny Football. They redesigned their helmet. Bo, did you see this today?
Yeah, I needed a magnifying glass to kind of figure out where they made the changes.
No, on the team website, because this is such a minor change, they actually had to post Browns 2014 color, Browns 2015 color. They like made it a shade redder. It's a little less orange now.
It's amazing.
Now, if that's not going to get a fan base psyched up for the season, I don't know what is.
Yeah, you always wonder.
We're more magenta now.
You just wonder if that was like the owner of the team's son who really couldn't make it in grammar school and at Harvard. Well, we just need to get Chip something to do and make him feel a part of the team. You know, that's what Chip did. Grandpa, these helmets need more red.
Or did they look at the jersey sales and say to themselves, guys, we have got to come up with a gimmick to make people buy new gear. Because, I mean, honestly, it is such a minuscule change. Mm-hmm. I don't know why the hell they did this. Hey, guys, it's been a week. They're not talking about Johnny Football and Josh Gordon. Let's do something and do it quick.
Yeah, they were getting used to being kind of the toast of the town with every story circulating around them. Now, Cleveland and LeBron are gaining steam. They had to do something to get a front page.
Now, this could possibly be my favorite story of the week. This is somewhat Albuquerque-centered, but even if you're not from here, like most of you aren't, it's still hilarious. There is nothing better than two media nerds fist fighting in a newsroom, Bo. Okay, apparently this has something to do with the state of UNM basketball.
Okay.
Now, UNM basketball, for those folks that aren't from Albuquerque, is basically our professional sports team. UNM football, sorry, Bo, they're just not quite the draw that UNM basketball is. UNM basketball, wins the Mountain West almost every year.
Yep.
The pit is an iconic place to play. It's got a lot of history behind it, and UNM usually fields a very competitive team. Not this year. No. I think they've lost either 6 or 7 in a row, Bo. And now a veteran reporter from the NBC affiliate here in Albuquerque and the main anchor reportedly got into some sort of fisticuffs right before they were going to go on with the 6 o'clock news. I love it. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. It was Stuart Dyson, who does like those investigative journalism pieces that every local media market has, and the talking hairdo of the local NBC News, Tom Joles, who's a huge Lobo fan. So apparently words were said and a confrontation ensued. The general manager of KOB-TV said that, quote, I think somebody who heard about the altercation secondhand posted it to the two media websites. But I can tell you there was no fight, no MMA knockdown kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm buying that.
It's one of those things where, you talk about UNM football and UNM basketball. We know we're second fiddle to those guys, but it's not with ease. And when I see things like this, I'm not surprised one bit because, you know, a lot of guys like myself come out from Indiana. Some guys came out from Southern California, Texas, whatever. We have a national championship in those states, and the guys from UCLA have way more than Indiana ever had.
Yep.
And we're told, oh, UNM basketball, the pit, da-da-da-da-da, and we get a walkthrough on the recruiting trip, and I'm like, well, where's your NCAA tournament trophies? They go Final Four? No. What'd they do?
We got close a few times.
Got to the Sweet 16, right? One time, Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the year we lost to Harvard, right?
Yeah. And yeah, that's it. That's it. And these fights, I see this type of stuff everywhere when it comes to UNM basketball. People are willing to fight about this. It is serious. If the reason we're telling you about this story, if this community ever did make it to a Final Four, you know how some cities burned down the city because they won the national championship? Y'all would read about Albuquerque getting lit on fire. And trust me, we're in the desert. It's real dry. This place would be burnt to a crisp if we broke past this Sweet 16 or got to the Elite Eight.
So the anchor in this story, his name's Tom Joles. I actually know the guy. I had him on my radio show back when I was on the radio here in Albuquerque. And he told me the funniest story about being a member of the media here in New Mexico. New Mexico, if you didn't know, it has a huge Hispanic and Mexican population. Now, this guy's name is Tom Joles, Joles. He's originally from like Minnesota or something like that. He's white as you can get. He told me that one time he got an angry call from a lady who claimed that he was denying his Hispanic heritage. She said to him, "You're as brown as the dirt you were raised on, Tom Joles." It's my favorite Tom Joles story.
I love it. Oh, it brings up so many memories of when my wife, she's Hispanic, and her mother would meet friends of mine on the football team, and if their name was, let's say Martin, it'd be Martine.
Yeah.
Martine, and they're like, who's Martine? I'm Martin. You know, it's hilarious, and that's so New Mexico. If you've never been here, that's New Mexico.
Yes, sir. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Sean and Bo Show. So until next week, I'm Sean O'Donnell. For my co-host, Bo Greer, reminding you, tip your pizza man.
See you next week.